All right. Welcome back to Young Penitent. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my icon corner. And today my topic is going to be actually some tips for living with mental illness. Before I get to that, as always, I'd like to do a little bit of an introduction. And as you see in as you see on the thumbnail, I got it says I got a strike, and I was not playing baseball. I was playing live stream on YouTube. And well, I mentioned the unmentionable, and I think you could probably guess what I said. And I made a mistake. I'm not sorry, but I'm going to try to correct my behavior because I got a community strike, and my video about it was titled "Should You Get Married in 2022" got deleted. Bummer. I put work into that video. I spent time, I prepared, I did the live stream. I thought it was, it had some thought-provoking content in there, and they didn't like something that I said. And, it's partly my fault. I should have, been, when I really didn't read everything in the community guidelines. I'll admit, I kind of glanced over them, so it's sort of my fault. But after getting this strike, I went and I read and I looked up what all the things they are that you're not supposed to say on YouTube. And, YouTube has an AI algorithm that analyzes every video and listens to what you're saying. And they also analyze, this is not a person doing it, but it's a machine analyzing what is happening in the video, the visuals as well. So it's pretty high-tech stuff. And I keep bobbing and weaving. I feel like I'm like a boxer or something. I know I'm trying to do a little bit better and try to just sit still. I'm sort of fidgety in here. Sorry about that. So I read what they have, and it's kind of amazing what they have. Like, they have some of the craziest, really specific things that you're not supposed to say on YouTube related to the jibs. So, I'm going to try to avoid that. Talking about, it's an important topic, but it's not exactly essential to my channel. So, some people are telling me it's time to go to BitChute or Rumble or any of these other platforms that don't do so much censorship. But I think that the place you grow your audience first is generally people grow their audience on YouTube. And maybe once I get a little bit of a bigger audience, then I can start forsake YouTube and go somewhere else. But for now, I'm going to keep streaming on here. It's just easiest, and it's easiest to grow your audience, and it's the easiest to use, I think. And there's the most people watching, so most people use it. But part of me wants to just tell off YouTube and go and speak the truth about all of these issues that they don't like. You'd almost think that YouTube was owned by the same people that own Big Pharma, like there was some sort of grand conspiracy or something behind that. But nah, that would be too, do you know how many people would have to be in on that? I mean, come on. So anyhow, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I can do that video again. I could even do it better. So what I think I'm going to do, if I appealed the strike. I said, I'm not making any scientific claims or statements of facts here, and we'll see what what comes of the appeal. Someone told me that 90% of the time they reinstate your video, which would be, that was kind of a hopeful statement, but I don't know if that's necessarily, I don't know if that's going to happen, but I can redo the video maybe in 6 months when people have forgot about it. I can I still have my notes. I can brush up the thumbnail, maybe make a new title, and do the video again. I'm thinking maybe next time I'll say, should you become a monk or should you get married or something like that, which was really that was what I was talking about in that video. So too bad. Sorry if you can't watch it. But in a way, this is a good thing because I get a little bit of street cred, I guess. It's like when you hear how many people that you follow online did you first hear about when they got banned and then you started to follow them? Because that's happened to me with multiple people that I've learned about. It's like once they get banned, and that's when you really take an interest. You're like, what is this guy saying that it's like the thing that you don't want or that they don't want you to have. That's what your attention goes towards. So in a way, I think this is maybe a good thing, so you're here watching still, and my subscribers are going up. I'm actually pretty impressed. It seems like the rate of subscriptions to my channel is actually increasing a little bit. Like when I'm up, up past 175 somewhere subscribers. Started at like 125 or something, but when I was at like 130, I was like, I'll never get to 50. And then I got to 150, I'll never get to 60. It was like, felt like it was never, but lo and behold, time goes on and the subscribers keep growing and I'm reaching all those benchmarks. So now I'm starting to actually get a little confident. If you keep producing, that YouTube algorithm, even though they might not like me because of the strike, the YouTube algorithm will start to pick you up if you are consistent in releasing material, and they'll start pushing your thing a little more, and people hear about you and they click on it. So, yeah, I'm getting growth in the channel. This is a great thing. It's like a slow, organic, grassroots kind of feel to it for me. Which is what I want. I wouldn't want it to like explode in my face all of a sudden. It might be hard to handle. So I actually like this way. I'm starting slow with a small audience and engaging with people, and that's how I want it. That's how I like it. I sort of feel like my channel is in beta mode, like by which I mean that I'm sort of. It's not like fully launched. I haven't really ironed out all of the particulars, the format, the structure. I'm still figuring that out. But once it gets going, I could see this thing taking off a little. I have a few interviews that I'm arranging with some other small YouTube channels, and so that'll be exciting. I'll start to bring on some guests, which can also grow my audience. But enough talk about growing my audience. What else? Let's see. Another thing about my channel is I had someone give me a little bit of input that made me start thinking about what I really want to do with this channel. If you go back and watch my earliest live streams, you could tell I was just kind of trying to figure it out. And I started out with the first ones were about rap, and I was reading some of my raps and my poetry, but then that kind of has stopped. Obviously, I haven't really been doing that, and it's kind of hard for me to read poetry or raps because I'm not actively producing more. I would have to start writing more, and I don't want all the poems I have are like 10 years old. I'm not really interested in sharing those so much, so I'm trying to think, what can I focus on here? And actually, I looked back at what videos are kind of getting a lot of interest, and actually, one of my videos, which is inside the Oregon State Hospital, has sort of the viewers how many views it's gotten. It keeps growing, and that one is going to be soon. I imagine it'll be probably be the most viewed live stream soon enough, I think. It'll probably overtake the Montanica review. And this is interesting to me. I think this maybe this could be my niche, talking about mental illness. I have plenty of experience with mental illness, just about the gamut of experiences that a person can have. I've gone through from depression and clinical depression and psychosis and manic phases and every struggle that someone with mental illness goes through, I've gone through, and I am actually, I don't know, what do they call it? There's a term in the mental health world. It's recovery. I think you're in recovery. Like, I'm like doing pretty well in terms of recovery. I live independently. I work and support myself for the most part. Most people with my mental illness would be, they'd be on disability. They wouldn't be able to work. They just kind of, just barely getting by in life. And so, you can, if you have, maybe people who have mental illnesses can relate to me, and I can relate to them, easily. I've often thought I could be a peer support specialist. Maybe that would be like a work that I could do, but maybe I could start doing that work here online. If you're going through a struggle, you can, send me an email at youngpenitent@gmail.com, and maybe we can have a conversation. Okay, enough talk, enough intro. I need to get to the meat. This is the meat. I'm going to talk about some tips and tricks for living with mental illness. Like, as I said, I have plenty of experience with this. First of all, let's answer the question if you should take medicine. That should be on the table. Don't refuse medicine if it's helpful. If you can get by without it, that's probably better, because every one of these medicines has side effects, and it's not necessarily helpful for your organism. But if you can't get by, if they're helpful and you find that you can't really function normally without it, then take it. But try to take, if you can, the smallest effective dose that you can. And you kind of have to be your own. You're going to have to be your own advocate here when you're talking to your psychiatrist, because the psychiatrist, he wants to cover himself legally and be safe, and he's going to try to push. There's a tendency with psychiatrists that I've noticed that they will ask these leading questions like, are you having any symptoms, or what's, they're trying to figure out, should I raise a way to raise the dose on you? That's going to happen. And I found this happen to me, and I had to be adamant and say, no, I want to find the smallest effective dose. And that's what I did. I found the dose. I've stuck with it, and it's worked with me I've been taking this same dose for over a decade, probably 10, 15 years, something like that. And it's working for me. I would like to not be able to take it. That would be great. But so far, we'll see. But so far, experience has shown that I don't do well when I'm not taking my medicine. So if it helps, take it. But there are, there are other ways to address certain aspects of mental illness, and maybe some of the lesser, there's serious mental illness and there's less serious. And the serious mental illness is is the ones that you're more likely to need medicine with. But if you have one of the less serious ones, like simply depression, your first route should maybe be to try to go with exercise, get outside, get some exercise, get some fresh air. Eat healthy, learn about diet, learn about seed oils, get rid of the seed oils, eat some fish, take some fish oils, take some vitamins, supplements. Niacin, B3 is a good one for mood. Maybe take 500 milligrams of niacin with a meal. Get good sleep, take care of yourself, these things can help with depression and can help you overcome those easily, actually. But probably there are studies out there that show that these kind of things, exercise, for example, is more effective than medicine oftentimes. Or if you're going to take I haven't, from people I talk to, there's not always a good success rate with medicine treating depression, except maybe in the short term. Kind of changes things up a little. So maybe consider taking something for a little while and then try until you get going again. And maybe if it stops working, you could try something else. But always when you're making changes, always do that in conjunction with the advice of your physician. But what I want to talk about most of all here, since this is my Orthodox Christian channel, is the therapeutic method of the church. Believe it or not, I had clinical depression for over a decade, many years. I feel like my youth was taken from me because I was just one dark day for over a decade. Terrible depression. And the medicine, once I got diagnosed with mental illness, I was kind of hiding I didn't tell anybody I was sick. No one knew. I was good at hiding it. But once they found out that I had a mental illness, which was kind of an unavoidable thing, they treated me, but they could just, I was psychotic at the time, and they could the medicine could bring me down from psychosis, but it didn't help with depression. The only thing that helped with my depression, which I have overcome, I no longer suffer from depression, was the therapeutic method of the church. And so once I joined the church and I learned its teachings, I started putting them into practice. I got baptized and started, struggling against sin, going to confession, repenting, taking communion, being uplifted by communion, having new life put into me every Sunday by God, giving himself to me, and living this life. My depression disappeared. It evaporated. And it's not just the sacraments. There's also the fact that the church answers all of the important questions of life. You have questions when you're born, and if you're not in the church, you're not going to get the correct answer. What are we doing here? Why are we here? What happens when you die? What is the soul? What is the mind? Things that, like in my last video, I had some heckler in my comment section, disagreeing with me. But sorry, the soul is immortal. That's how it is. When you die, you will stand before the judgment seat, whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not. And so you better act accordingly. Try to get yourself, get your life in order. You start with your most serious sins, and those are actually the easier ones when you first learn what is sin. Those are the easier ones to get rid of. You also have to struggle with passions, likely for your whole life. The passions will come, they'll go. It's like a sometimes I feel like it's sort of like a cold. All of a sudden you get struck with the cold and you're sick for a few weeks and the passions overtake you, and then you struggle and you go to confession. You get rid of the sins in confession. You take communion again. You get uplifted, as I said. Abbot Tryphon has a teaching about this. Abbot Tryphon has experience. He has experience as a psychologist, which is what his profession was before he became a monk, a Christian, a monk, and then a priest, and then an abbot of a monastery. And the reason he left psychology was because he figured out that he didn't have the answers. He didn't have these answers that the church was providing for you. And so he went on a search. He quit his job, sold everything, got in a VW van and went like, with the wind where it took him, and he ended up in the church. And, he says about modern psychiatry that the psychiatrists are the priests today of the modern secular medicine, and the medicine they give is like their sacrament. So he has this teaching, but he obviously didn't believe that was the way, because he went another route. So psyche, which is the root word for psychologist, psychology, psychiatry. Psyche, actually, the Greek meaning of that term is it's the word for the soul. And so we have ways the church is really being the hospital for the soul. We are the ones who have the treatment for ails the soul, the psyche. And I'm not discounting psychology and psychiatry that they can't help. I obviously make use of these, and if you need them, like I said, use them. But here are a couple other ways that you can address psychiatric illness is to pray. James, in the epistle of St. James 5:13, it says, "Is any among you afflicted? Let him pray." Actually, depression is considered a passion. This is something that we can and should struggle against. You can go to your priest in confession and say, "I've been struggling with depression." Okay. What else do I have? What have I failed to mention? Oh, I also wanted to make a public service announcement about this new suicide and crisis lifeline. You guys may have heard of it, and I'm going to put it out there just to help you, remind you what the number is. In the United States, there is now a national phone number that you can call, and it's a suicide and crisis lifeline. So if you are struggling with a mental illness or suicidal thoughts, depression, or substance abuse, you can call 988. I think this is probably a good thing, bringing attention to people, to mental health issues. And so they will have, if you call that number, or you can call or text, and they will have crisis counselors who can help you. They can talk to you. They can talk you through it. They can put you in touch with local, resources that you can further get help from. But in general, if someone is having a crisis, they're feeling suicidal, they're feeling down, just the action of calling, which probably takes courage. It takes courage for people. Just the action of calling is enough 90% of the time to resolve the crisis. So remember that 988. That is what you can call. Anybody? Come on. Let's look. Anything in the chat? Somebody? There's people watching. I know that. Anything? Anybody got anything to say? Well, I'm at about 24 minutes. What else can I talk about here? Yeah, I also meant, so that's my talk on mental health today. I don't know if that's going to be my focus here on the channel, but I don't know how many videos I could do about that, but could be, who knows? We'll see how things turn out. But I'm going to try to, so I'm going to promise everybody here that I'm going to try to not get strikes so I can keep doing these. Part of me wanted to just tell YouTube off and get kicked off on purpose, so I didn't even have to do this. But I feel like people are getting something out of this. From the feedback that I'm getting from people, I know that people are benefiting from these live streams. So because of that, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna tell YouTube off. I'm gonna try to stay here. Try to keep doing it for a while. part of me thinks that it would be, I have this this impulse to just seclude myself, and like I'm putting myself out in public here, but like part of me wants to just like sit and read and pray and not do this. But I actually feel I'm like this YouTube thing. I feel like I kind of saw it coming like a year ago, honestly, before I even started doing this, and I sort of feel called to it, honestly. And so not everybody is called to, go out to a monastery or seclude themselves, go into the wilderness. I want to bring up an example from a saint, which illustrates this, that I use as an instructive example in my life. There was Saint Nicholas, whose icon is right here. You can see it in the picture above the banner of my YouTube channel. Saint Nicholas had two instances when he wanted to leave the world. There was one instance when he wanted to go out. First, he wanted to go out. He visited the Holy Land, and then he had this impulse. He wanted to go out into the wilderness and be a hermit, basically. And he heard a divine voice telling him to turn back. And then again, later, this happened again when he wanted to go and disappear into a monastery. And he heard a voice from God, and God told him, I wrote this down, Nicholas, this is not the vineyard where you shall bear fruit for me. Return to the world and glorify my name there. And this was basically, he heard the voice of God. And that kind of stuck in my mind for some reason. And I have a special veneration for Saint Nicholas. So I'm going to use that as, I'm going to take that instructive example from that saint. He became a bishop who worked among the people, and he was really, down with the people, working with them. And so I'm going to take his example and try to do that with this YouTube channel. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Here's the subscribe button. I'll give you a moment. Go ahead and just click it. Thank you. And we'll see y'all next time.